can barely fit my dick in my pants. Whoa! Is the soaring chorus of the song California Isn't Big Enough by Meat Loaf. If you've never heard of Meat Loaf, Meat Loaf is, God, has to have one of the longest careers in music. He's put out 13 albums, which might not sound like a lot until you realize the first one came out in 1971, and that the release dates are fairly consistent up to the last one being from 2016. So this dude's got a 45-year career of musical releases, which is pretty impressive. And one of the best-selling albums of all time, Bat Out of Hell from 1977. Pretty solid album. It has a few really great songs on it, such as Bat Out of Hell. I can call myself a fan of at least half of that album. Very inconsistent, Meat Loaf's music. He's the kind of guy who did, like, big, epic, cool songs, and then also a lot of, like, really slow ballads that suck balls. But on his more recent output, there's the 2010 album, Hang Cool Teddy Bear, which is mostly written by other people. It's not primarily a written by Meat Loaf album. He had a bunch of other songwriters in there, but he sings on all the tracks. And this particular song, California Isn't Big Enough, stands out to me, not only because of how incredible the chorus is, where he literally sings. This man, who was, by the way, 63, I think, at the time. No, 62. 62 at the time that he sang on this album, was singing the soaring, thumping arena rock chorus of "I can barely fit my dick in my pants. California isn't big enough for me." I first heard this song in a Terra Online video. Someone was explaining, like, how to do something in the game, and then just showing off how badass he was by beating some really difficult raid, but he's playing this song over the raid, of course, starting with the chorus. And I was like, what the fuck is this song? I needed to know. Then I found out it was Meat Loaf, and my mind was blown. But then my mind was blown again when I looked up who had written this song, because it was co-written by two guys, one of whom is the lead singer and songwriter of the band The Darkness, who you may know for the song "I Believe in a Thing Called Love" from the early 2000s, and also the lead singer / songwriter of Foxy Shazam, Eric Sean Nally, who you probably don't know for anything, but they're one of my favorite bands. And this song perfectly encapsulates the styles of both of these artists, particularly at the time. Because this song really shifts between two different major tones between the verses and choruses, and it's painfully obvious who wrote which parts of the song. The song starts off as this sort of kitschy 80s pop tune where Meat Loaf is singing in, like, this very, like, "Babe, you're hot, you want the sun and the," like that. And it's obviously Foxy Shazam. Like, this album came out around the same time as their self-titled album, which is when they really broke into doing 80s pop and rock style. Like, Foxy Shazam is a band that started as a, like, post-hardcore, insane freak show band. Like, they were, like, borderline grindcore half the time. And then they somehow transformed into what I like to call Elviscore, where they were, like, mixing 50s style song sounds with hardcore music. Their second album's fucking insane, Introducing. But then with their self-titled, their third album, they finally just made, like, a straight up 80s rock album, and it's really fucking good. Like, all three of their first three albums are fantastic. Their fourth one went for more of a glam rock sound. It's sort of like Queen, definitely some Meat Loaf influence on it. You know, you can easily see how Meat Loaf could have inspired some of the work of Foxy Shazam. Now, Foxy Shazam, unfortunately, released their last album in 2014 and went on indefinite hiatus, assumably because they never blew up, even though they totally deserved to, and their music seemed like it was getting out there, but somehow just never getting an audience. Like, their third album, which was self-titled because it was like they had signed to a major label, they were, you know, trying to reintroduce themselves to the world, And so, like, and they're making accessible music, and the album fucking rips. It's got tons of amazing single-worthy songs. Singles from the album are great. They had this big arena chant song, Unstoppable. We are unstoppable. No, we can't be defeated. Which I don't even really like that much, but I've heard that song like playing in the background of football games on TV, and like it was used in Cartoon Network advertisements a bunch. Foxy Shazam themselves appeared in commercials on Cartoon Network around the time this album came out. But somehow it didn't catch on. Like, not a lot of people know the album. It's weirdly unpopular for being as advertised as it was and as primed for success as it was. And after that, whatever meager amount of fame they were gaining sort of dwindled and died, and they never really blew up. So I assume that's a big part of why they sort of crashed and burned and gave up. And now the lead singer, Eric Nally, just put out a solo album this year. I only found out about this through doing research for this video. He now sounds like the fucking Weeknd. Like, he now is doing straight up, like, dark synth pop songs where he sings like the fucking Weeknd. I mean, it kind of makes sense because he has the voice for it. But, like, he's also, like, an older, weird-looking dude who, like, the music video for his song Ruby, like, seems like it's serious at first, but then just devolves into being more comedic as it goes along. And it doesn't have very many views on YouTube, so he's still not blowing up. The biggest success he's ever had was that he sang in the song Downtown by Macklemore. And, like, if you search, like, Eric Nally's name on Google, all you get is think pieces about, like, introducing you to the guy who sang in the Macklemore song. Like, here's what you should know about this guy who's this fucking weirdo in this Macklemore video. Which is sad and hilarious. But anyway, so that's my brief history of Foxy Shazam. So at the time, they were doing the 80s throwback thing, and this is very clearly evident in the Meat Loaf song. And you can even tell by the lyrics that Eric Nally wrote these bits, because he sings lyrics like, "Oh, you're such a beauty, I'm just a beast," which is a very Foxy Shazam lyric. "You're so cute, I want to smash your face." Extremely Foxy Shazam lyrics. Because the thing about Foxy Shazam is their lyrics are always, like, weirdly unhinged. Like, it's like someone who's trying to write a simple pop or love song and can't, because they are literally insane, and they have to make some reference to something weird or violent or fucked in the middle of it. Like, they can't stop themselves, you know. One of their best fucking songs from the self-titled album is a song where the chorus goes, "Life is a bitch, but she's totally doable." And it's like, otherwise it's just a soft ballad about how life's tough, but, you know, the goofy lyrics are what did them in. They never took off because the lyrics are just too goofy. So anyways, you got this song, and then it goes into the chorus, and it just becomes a Darkness song. I don't know if you know The Darkness. They were another band who probably didn't get as much attention as they deserved, but they did have a huge single in the form of I Believe in a Thing Called Love, which I absolutely adore that song, but I'm equally a fan of their previous single, "Get Your Hands Off of My Woman, Motherfucker." So it's hardly a surprise that the band who wrote that song also wrote the line, "I can barely fit my dick in my pants," in this song. So every time I hear this, to me, it's just Meat Loaf, 62-year-old Meat Loaf, singing over a simultaneous Foxy Shazam and The Darkness song. Two bands popular only in, like, this very specific niche of indie music fans. Like, both of these are bands with cult followings who, you know, were never that big, but the people who liked them really liked them. And I could see there being a lot of overlap. Like, I could easily see the same people who like The Darkness being the people who like Foxy Shazam, because they're both throwback bands. They both constantly pay homage to older music, you know. The Darkness is a cock rock band, in this case in the most literal sense of the phrase imaginable. You know, big arena sounding, classic rock guitar music. And Foxy Shazam, God, that is really hard to say quickly, is, again, like, we're doing glam stuff, both of them in the mid 2000s. So yeah, this song fascinates me. I think it's really fun. Meat Loaf's vocals leave a little bit to be desired, and like there's another song on the album that both of those guys co-wrote together that's not nearly as good. And it really is hurt, I think, by Meat Loaf singing, because like the parts, that song also you can easily tell which parts were written by which guy, but it's like a much longer, like multi-phase song, and in that one I can hear like that Meat Loaf was probably singing exactly what Eric Nally had sang, because like it almost sounds like he's singing, like Meat Loaf is doing like an impression of his voice almost. So I really see it as like Eric like recorded this song and then Meat Loaf like covered it almost. Like that's what it sounds like, just because it's so similar to his voice and singing style, but it suffers for the fact that it's 62-year-old Meat Loaf trying to sing it. Nonetheless, this song's really fun. I can barely fit my dick in my pants. This is a lyric that goes down in history, goes down through the ages, you know? It's a lyric you'd expect me to write. You're probably clicked on this video expecting me to be talking about one of my own songs, but that's not the case this time. Not this time. Alright, that's all.